Hey, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddard, here today to talk about iBuyers. They are no longer something of the future, something to be concerned about. They're here, they're today, and they're eating up market share. And you need to be aware of how to deal with them, the true facts of what's happening with iBuyers, and how you can properly insulate your business and protect your database, your consumers against misconceptions about what iBuyers are and the value that they bring. So we're going to get to today's guest, who's amazing, Stacey Durr. She's a counterpart and a colleague of mine here at Old Republic. And she has some things to share because she was once a top producing agent in Phoenix where iBuyers were rampant and where she would go head to head against them and win. So what you need to know from her is going to be highly relevant to your business. Before we do that, let me just remind you that if you go to the website, thinkbigger.realestate, you can get a summary every week in your inbox of the most important insights shared on this daily show, as well as key action steps. So go be sure and sign up for that. So with that, Stacey, thank you for coming on the show today. Super excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
We just had a team meeting and it was all about how do we act as consultants to help our real estate agents better consult and better act as consultants in helping their buyers and sellers get the best outcome. And sometimes, some of you may not like that I'm going to say this, sometimes that outcome may very well come from an iBuyer, right? There are some people in some, I would say, extreme circumstances where they have to get out of a house like today, and you spending the time and the effort to get that home properly staged and set up is not going to be in your best interest nor in theirs. And so know that iBuyers, I believe, and I believe Stacey does as well, play a certain part in this real estate landscape. Here's what you need to know, though, right? Would you agree with that? Is that a fair statement?
Yes, absolutely.
Here's some things that you need to know. In fact, let me just share this stat, and then I'm going to ask Stacey to share her strategy when she would sit down and agent and her potential listing was talking about iBuyers, and maybe they already had an offer from OpenDoor, maybe they already had an offer from Zillow, right? And how she combated that. But here's an interesting stat. This was from a gentleman who wrote a report, a Collateral CEO, Dr. Michael Sklartz and Dr. Norman Miller. They're a senior vice president of research and development with the firm Collateral. They said in all, the typical cost to a seller appears to be in the range of 13 to 15%, depending on the iBuyer vendor. Today, we use the example of CarMax. You can absolutely sell your car to CarMax. You're not going to get top dollar for it. Will it be convenient? Absolutely, right? They'll decide if they want to make an offer. Once they do, they'll take it off your hands immediately. However, you're going to pay a premium to them or lose a premium in order to do that. So with all of that long intro, Stacey, let's get to kind of the meat here. You would sit down with people in a listing presentation. They had one of these iBuyer offers or were talking about it. What would you say? How would you help consumers and truly be an advisor or consultant in helping walk them through that process?
You know, typically I'm having the conversation prior to, maybe over the phone, prior to our listing presentation or even the follow-up presentation. And they're generally bringing up the iBuyer. Okay. I heard about OpenDoor. I heard about Zillow. I heard about OfferPad. And they're kind of bringing that to light. And I always encourage them to go ahead and get the offer from them. Mm-hmm. What I would do with that is once they had the offer, I think there's kind of three options for sellers. And that's going to be, your iBuyer, you're going to have an investor, and then you're going to have your retail sale. And so what I would generally do is sit down with them and really go through the contract that they're getting from the iBuyer and all of the fees that are associated with that, because there are a lot of fees in there that people don't really see.
Hence the 13 to 15%, right? Some of the stuff's hidden. They're not calling it, right?
Correct. And then I would go through and, I would contact some of my investors. Hey, what would you pay for this property? Mm-hmm. And then I'm pulling comps, right? And now you've got the retail price. And so I literally would sit down with my sellers and say, here are your three options. Here are the pros, here are the cons. And this is, what's more important to you? Is convenience moving out, in a few days and not having anyone through your home more convenient than getting more money? And like you're saying, 13 to 15%, sometimes more money if they're selling at retail. And for some people, it was that middle road, Yeah,
I love it. So I think as real estate agents move forward, right? Gary Keller actually predicted that 2 years from now, there will be half as many real estate agents as there are now. I think part of that's going to be because we have a demographic that's retiring. I think, I just read this morning that all signs, like all flashing lights are saying that a recession is coming. I don't know what that's going to look like. I do not think we're going to come into the 2008 again. I think it'll be a slower recession and one that isn't as dramatic on our industry. That's my prediction. But I do think a recession is overdue and coming. I think that will have an impact on agents that came into this business thinking it was going to be easy. Nevertheless, there's going to be a weeding out. And I believe that those that stay and remain well paid, right, that aren't just a functionary performing a task for OpenDoor, but those that are well paid are going to be stepping into an advisor role, and they're going to be able to have the bold conversations to say, let's look at all your options. I'm looking out for you, the consumer, and it looks like in this situation, iBuyer is going to be the best option for you. I wish you the best. Go for it, right? And having the guts and the abundant mindset to be okay with that and realize that in certain situations, that may be the best option for them. And other situations, it may be to help them with an investor, or the third one, right, which is actually to say, let's get top dollar for your home. Here are the comps, and I'm going to spend the marketing and resources and the efforts to get this done for maximum dollar for you. And I think agents that can open their mindset to be okay with that and have those conversations are going to be the ones that are going to thrive, because at the end of the day, the consumers matter, right? They matter the most. And I don't know that it's been that way forever, but right now the consumer's vote matters the most. And so if you're going to truly be an advisor, acting as a fiduciary, you have to have that mindset is whatever's best for the consumer is going to win. And those agents that are willing to do that are the ones that are going to win as well. Any additional thoughts?
I agree. No, you're absolutely right. I think just having the consumer in your best interest is always obviously your best route to go there. And like I said, if they don't care about the money, then maybe it is the iBuyer option. Obviously, you're not trying to sell yourself out of a job, but at the same time, your truthfulness and your honesty and you looking out for them is going to get you further. Yeah,
much further than trying to say iBuyers are terrible and trying to bash them, right? They serve a purpose, but we also need to be fiduciaries in the sense that we're educating consumers for them to know that it's not a great solution for, I would say, most. It may be an option for some, but giving people the facts as to how much they're giving up to go through an iBuyer is what really needs to be known so that people can make an educated decision. And I think that's where great real estate agents are really going to thrive far into the future. So Cece, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
She is a superstar. For those of you that got a taste of her expertise on Instagram, I broadcast to my group, the Think Bigger Real Estate group, a broadcast that we had some technical difficulties about partway through. So she is going to be coming on the show August 29th to talk all about Instagram. She is, in my opinion, the expert in our industry on helping real estate agents succeed at a high level with Instagram. She's helping me up my game there, and she can help you up your game. So be sure and stay tuned. Mark your calendar for August 29th. We're going to be going deep in Instagram, and this fine lady right here is going to be giving her expertise to all of you who watch. So thank you again for tuning into this episode. Keep in mind, my goal and my aim is to put big thinkers in front of you so that you can expand your own possibilities. That's my passion. And I thank you for joining today. And thanks again, Stacey, for being here. We look forward to catching you on the next episode.